Okay, my name is Richard Coburn. I live in New York City. I'm a veterinarian. I graduated Cornell in the ag school in 1960 and veterinary medicine in 63. And I have a small animal practice in northwestern New Jersey. And I work in New Jersey and live in New York City. I was at Cornell from 56 to 63. And there was no gay life here at all. I was totally in the closet. Any literature, I think I just was looking at some books the other day. I stole a book from the Rutland, Vermont Public Library, and it had to do with something about homosexuals as part of, it's like how it means to grow up as a boy or something. And so there's a couple of paragraphs, but all I could find out was that it was a disease and perhaps illegal. And this was, when I was here, was long, 10 or 15 years before the American Psychological Association said that homosexuality was not a disease. So I wanted very badly to be a veterinarian. I was afraid that if anybody knew I was gay, that that perhaps I wouldn't be able to get a license to practice. And so I was totally closeted and totally motivated to study and realize my dream. And so then, not knowing what else to do, after I was accepted to vet school, I started dating one woman, and married her a couple of years later, about a year and a half before I graduated. And then I had 4 children right away within 5 years, the youngest being black and adopted. And when I was 29, I fell in love with a 16-year-old boy. And it was a nice, hot, passionate affair. And I thought, wow, this is it. And I'd had always a good sex life with my wife. She was no prude. It was good, but it wasn't the real thing for me, But then there I was with 4 little children to raise, and Bob hadn't finished high school yet. Where'd he go with that, Nowhere. So, then it's been a long journey. So after a while, I raised the kids and I got divorced, and I've been partnered with an African-American man for 35 years. And the same time that I met him, I met Eric, and Eric and I I fell in love with Eric first, and I'd met Paul at the same time. And so Eric went off and became an Episcopal priest and left the area and went to California, and he found somebody, and then I had Paul, but Eric and I have always been good friends and been in contact, and we have Cornell in common and a lot of things in common, I feel that often when I talk to people, gay people, I've done it all. Adopting a black kid in 1968 was my response to Martin Luther King's assassination, and that changed my life. And then living with an African-American man for 35 years has, totally changed my life. I have 2 daughters. My oldest son is gay, and he was president of Gay Pack here at Cornell, and he staged the first Ivy League gay and lesbian convocation that was held here at Cornell. And he came out in the Cornell Daily Sun, I think in 1983. And he said it was difficult, even though he was growing up with a gay father. And at that point, I was working through my marriage, and my wife wanted very much to stay married. And so she said it was okay if I could be gay, because I took a year off back in the mid-'70s, and that didn't work. So I went back to the marriage because I didn't want to be a part-time father. So we decided we would try to make the marriage work, being married, and I could have a gay lover on the side. And at that time, in the late 80s, there was a book published, Barry and Alice. And Barry and Alice were on the Phil Donahue show in January of 1980. And Barry started a married gay men's group in Philadelphia in the late 70s. So I used to go to Philadelphia for a day and a half every week, and then come back to my married life. And those are the disco days, and be out in Philly dancing. And then the next night I'd be home as president of the Milford, Pennsylvania Lions Club. So it was, quite a contrast. And then, you were at straight men at the bar who didn't want to talk about anything. And then the night before I was at a bar, and in Philly, where you were sharing all kinds of things, because gay people tend to share things, and when you're somewhat closeted anyway, you have a lot to share because you can finally talk to somebody. So it was it was an interesting time, but I think that's probably enough.
Is your son here?
My son is in Cape Cod. He lives in Cape Cod.
He didn't want to come back for a reunion?
I don't think he's ever been back for a reunion.
How about your work with the Gay Men's Chorus in the AIDS era?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You want to? Yeah, I was a member of the New York City Gay Men's Chorus for 25 years, and starting in 1987, and then 25 years plus, that's when I decided that was enough of that. But it was a great time, because we were we sang, I've sung in Carnegie Hall 45 times. And we never were political activists per se. Our director felt that you walk down 7th Avenue, you walk down 57th Street at 7th Avenue, there's Carnegie Hall, and on the marquee is New York City Gay Men's Chorus. That's all the political statement you need to make. And we auditioned before the American Choral Society or something, and when they found out that we were gay, they tried to block it, but somehow it happened. And some of the men's choruses, gay men's choruses in the United States, they didn't have gay in the name. Seattle Men's Chorus never had gay in the name, but that's who we were, and it was important to us to have gay in the name. So we had a contract with Virgin Records and did a European tour promoting our record. We did 3 European tours. We sang at the Mostly Mozart concert with the New York Philharmonic and at Avery Fisher Hall, Lincoln Center. We did an all Sondheim program in the same hall with Stephen Sondheim. He was doing the movie Dick Tracy with Madonna. This is back in the late 70s, and he flew in just to be with us. He's an honorary member of the New York City Gay Men's Chorus. There's a stage opera, Friedensdog. Richard Strauss wrote it, and it was written back in the 30s. It's German, and it was it certainly wasn't performed under the Third Reich, and rarely ever performed. But it was done in Carnegie Hall, and it's the only recording ever made to date of the opera. But it was the collegiate chorus, a mixed chorus of 150. The New York City Gay Men's Chorus was the men's chorus of 150, 100-piece symphony orchestra, and about 12 soloists. And it was right after the Iron Curtain fell. It was just coincidental that we sang this at the time, right after. So it was very appropriately staged as a stage opera. And so, I mean, it was just a fabulous experience to be there. Blitzstein, who was a protege of Leonard Bernstein. We also did a special program right after Leonard Bernstein died, and his children came, and they gave us access to stuff that he had written that hadn't been performed, and certainly hadn't been performed by a men's chorus, and we did that. But a protege, also gay, of Bernstein was Blitzstein, and he's written a lot of stuff. If you Google him, for Broadway and off Broadway and so forth, and he wrote an airborne symphony. And it was just like a World War II movie, like when the bombers take off, and the background music that you're familiar with on a movie. And we sang from the original manuscripts. It was heavy paper, almost like cardboard, all handwritten, that somebody had done, and they pulled that out of the vaults. And it was at Avery Fisher Hall, and it was the 50th anniversary of the founding of the UN. So there was a special concert. We sang with the New York Philharmonic and sang that, and the whole thing was narrated by James Earl Jones. And that was another great experience. So I've had according to the New York Times, the 4 best acoustic halls in the world are Carnegie Hall, Symphony Hall in Boston, the Concertbau in Amsterdam, and the Opera House in Vienna. I have not sung in the Opera House in Vienna, but I have sung in the other 3. And, for somebody who's an amateur singer, what a great experience. That's enough.